Here's a question for you. Would you still buy a vehicle if you don't get to negotiate your price? Well, that's what's going on at Ford right now. Ford CEO is not just hinting at no haggle, a fixed pricing system. He's not just hinting at a fixed pricing system. It is very much going to be happening. The question is, how broad is this going to be? How broad's the pen stroke? Because Jim Farley, they're talking about here in Car Scoops that Jim Farley mentioned the possibility of fixed pricings. Well, this was at another investors meeting. And guess what, folks? I can tell you as an insider, we're not just talking about fixed prices being a possibility. It's going to happen definitely for the EV vehicles. All sorts of work has gone into getting fixed pricing as a possibility for electric vehicles. Heck, Ford has broken off into divisions. So you've got the EV division, and the whole reason for doing that, a lot of work went behind that, and the whole reason for doing that, folks, is so that dealers can be forced into selling at fixed prices, because dealers were able to be given an ultimatum because there's this whole new division. So you didn't have EVs falling under your traditional dealer banners. You had a new EV division, meaning that Ford was able to tell dealers, hey, we've got these new products for you in a new division. If you want your dealer to be EV approved, you have to sign on the dotted line and agree to sell at fixed pricing. Now, would you consider buying a vehicle at fixed pricing? Well, when it comes to Tesla, you can see that a lot of people do really like this system because Tesla is becoming, America's #1 brand, and they have fixed pricing. Everyone pays the same price. Now, this doesn't mean that the price is non-negotiated, because really what happens is that the manufacturer, they're the ones that are going to be negotiating the price for, everybody. So what does it really mean for the manufacturer to be negotiating the price for everybody? And this has been a major source of confusion for a lot of people. A lot of people are getting really upset by the idea, I'm reading the comments, the idea of non-negotiated prices at Ford. They say, that's it, I won't buy any more Fords. Some people feel like they need to go to war when it comes to pricing and have that conflict at the dealership in order to feel like they got a good deal. And you know what? Under the current system, that can sometimes be the case, because you've got, some customers, some buyers being so aggressive that dealers, whether because of this or just as a necessity out of this, they'll start from a really high price. And you need to negotiate that price to get the right price, to get it down to a fair price that makes sense for everybody. But sometimes it also meant that some people paid too much. And it also means that sometimes people don't pay enough really for the dealer to be able to survive. And dealerships do go bankrupt. And they have gone bankrupt in the last few decades. Every year there were dealerships going bankrupt. And because of that, a lot of dealerships felt very justified through the last few years, the pandemic, having these crazy, insane markups, which I'm totally against. But, personally, I'm very much for a fair price. But what does no haggle pricing mean? It means there's still going to be negotiation in a sense, but it's going to be chosen by the manufacturer. And we already see a bit of this already with how Ford does their pricing. It doesn't mean that, your F-150 Lightning will always be the exact same price. It means that Ford will decide, okay, let's say this year, a 2023 F-150 5-liter EcoBoost. A 2023 come December is almost certainly going to have rebates on that machine, and they're going to reduce the price. But Ford will reduce the price. Now, the question is this only going to be affecting EVs? Well, I'd say if EV sales continue to go well under no haggle pricing, which is going to be mandatory as of January 2024, so dealers still have, unfortunately, the power to sell them more than they should be selling them for. So over markup. And that's what this no haggle pricing is the main purpose of it is to avoid markups, but also to be able to most likely decrease dealer profits so that the profit margin is slimmer for dealers, but guaranteed. So it's going to be good for the customer, because the customer that doesn't spend hours negotiating and hours shopping around and calling different places, they're going to have a better price because there's going to be less profit between, the price that dealers pay for the vehicles versus the price they sell them. It's also going to avoid dealers being able to abuse and add crazy markups and add-ons that we've all seen and heard about in the last few years. But it's also going to protect them and give them at least enough margin to stay open and run their business, making it look more like a restaurant franchise. If you think, how crazy would it be when you want to go out and you want to have, whatever the restaurant is, Applebee's, McDonald's, but imagine having to call different Applebee's all around your city and maybe even across the state to find an Applebee's that's selling at a fair price, because you keep calling different Applebee's and they say, well, you know what, we already have a waiting line, so tonight we're going to increase the menu prices by 30%. And if you don't like it, well, just don't show up. We already have customers in the restaurant and we've got enough people to make the books work. And that at the other end of the spectrum, during a less hungry economy, people can be calling around to all different places and trying to get their meal or their Bronco or whatever Ford vehicle, whatever hot vehicle is on the market right now, for potentially even less than what the dealer paid for it. So I know a lot of people out there are going to be worried about this. Certain dealers and salespeople are worried about this, thinking profit margins are going to be smaller. But I think fair pricing for everyone, meaning no one pays too much and no one doesn't pay enough so that the business can actually provide a good quality service. Because remember, sometimes negotiating for hours and calling all sorts of different places and getting an incredible, what appears to be an incredible price on a vehicle just means that when it comes to the delivery, things aren't as promised, and that the dealer, the business, feels that they're justified in having hidden fees or just a poor service, that they don't have they don't fulfill their promises. They promised winter tires or certain mags or accessories, and you get to the delivery and they're not there, or the price is higher than promised upon. Then they just make up excuses like, oh, well, we looked over the books and that was below our cost. There's no way that we can do it at that price, but this is really an amazing price, and the vehicle's outside, it looks great. I've heard all sorts of stories. I've heard stories of people showing up at delivery and the price being higher, and they go, oh, well, we were showing you prices before taxes, when clearly all throughout it was made very clear, and questions were asked, is this including taxes? Yes. So there's a lot of games, unfortunately, that can be played when there's this whole negotiating system. So for those of you out there that are really worried about this system, I can tell you that non-negotiated prices can mean smaller profits for dealers, meaning better prices for customers, better prices for buyers, and that can be a really good thing. And not having to negotiate means, the hour or two or 3 or 4 that you spend shopping a vehicle can really be about shopping the vehicle. And the dealers that are going to stand out and do well when the price is the same everywhere are going to be the dealers that give you the best service. The dealers that are going to prep your vehicle and give you a red carpet service, a waxed vehicle, maybe throw in on the back end, some free oil changes. There's going to be, I think, out of this, better pricing and better service that will come out of this. And if the EV pulls it off come January 2024, 2/3 of Ford dealers have signed up to be EV dealers underneath these new rules. So it's not a possibility of no haggle pricing. It's going to happen. But in no haggle pricing, there'll still be negotiation in the sense that Ford as a manufacturer, when they've got older models sitting around they're going to rebate them. And they've been doing this for years. We've seen it previously back when there was Ford employee pricing in the summer. Well, those were older units that are having a bigger rebate because they're already, advanced in age. Even though they're new, they're getting older. And we've seen it with the F-150 Lightning with their current price decreases, the huge price decreases on the Mach-E. Basically, what I'm trying to say here, folks, is Ford will fluctuate the price, play around with interest rates and rebates, that you will be getting a negotiated price. And because there's going to be almost certainly less dealer profit, as we've seen with electric vehicles, you're going to be getting a negotiated price in the sense that there's less profit margin between the price that's in the window and the price that the dealer pays for it. That's going to get smaller. Dealers are going to have a guaranteed amount of profit, but it's going to be less. So myself and all of you will be buying vehicles at a better price. Now, for those that can't live without haggling, that they need to get into that battle for price, it's going to be an adjustment period. And I think some people are going to go to different manufacturers, but let us know. Let us know how you feel about this. Please drop it in the comments section. How do you feel about having a set price? Keeping in mind that, yes, later on in the year, come October, November, December, your current model year vehicle is going to have a nice, huge reduction on it from Ford in the form of either a really great interest rate or a really great rebate. So let us know in the comment section. What do you think? Would you buy a vehicle if it's just a set price? Do you think Tesla's purchasing model is the right one to follow? Let us know. Thank you so much. I wish you all more cars and more power, and would love it if you could help us out. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and hit the bell notification to not miss any important news. And do remember, if you're buying an EV in 2024 from Ford, that will be fixed pricing. And I would suspect that it's going to be a success. And within 1 to 3 years, we are going to see that on the gas side. The petrol-powered vehicles will go to zero haggling setup as well. Take care, folks. Thank you so much. Remember, Ford does produce a lot of really popular models, so that there's more chance than not to have markups on these popular high-demand models. And those are always seems to be the models that Marie and I want to get, and the general market want to jump on as well. And it would be nice to be able to get them at the same fair, consistent price for everyone. And there are always ways to save money at Ford, because now you'll have to watch in another video, so you'll want to have that bell notification on. But we are going to be covering how to save money, how to get a rebate on electric vehicles at Ford, because there is a way. There's several ways, really. We're going to be talking about that in our Monday Night Live, and there'll be a short episode coming out on that next week. So stay tuned, folks. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.